What's going on, everybody? This is Jandal coming at you with a Naraka Bladepoint tier list. Now, if you've never heard of the game, it is a battle royale fighting game. I remember thinking to myself back when PUBG came out. PUBG started the whole battle royale genre for me. And I remember thinking, man, what if PUBG met For Honor? Now, this isn't exactly like that, but it is a battle royale fighting game, and I think it's a blast. It's $20. You can pick it up on Steam. It's well worth the investment. It's all I've been playing. And today we're going to go over a solo tier list and a threes mode tier list. We're not going to get into Bloodbath today, which is the team deathmatch version. In my opinion, that's more of a training tool than it is the actual competitive game mode, which is fine if that's what you're into. It's a blast. Feel free to play the game any way you like. And if you've played a fighting game before, you've probably seen this tier maker list here. And we're going to go over it in a normal fashion. The tiers, I'm not going to rate them left to right. It's just going to be tier list. If your character's at the bottom of A, that doesn't mean it's the worst character of A. I'm just going to generally be throwing them in here. But before we get started, I'd like you to see that I only have 11 subscribers in all of YouTube. What the heck's up with that, boys? I mean, I'm going to need you to click on that button. I'd like to see this at least at 12 before I go to bed tonight. So click it. Now with this tier list, as every other tier list you've ever seen, this is my opinion. Feel free to disagree. Since the game is still young, it's definitely not fully explored, and this is definitely not a factual tier list. That being said, I've played quite a bit of the game, and in order to bring you the best early tier list possible, I've played each character enough to unlock all of their abilities, including their ultimates. It's not really a hard feat, if you play the game, but it takes more than a few games to do so with each character. I feel like doing this in the game gave me a better understanding of how my enemies fight, and it also really lets you fill out who you like to play and who you don't really enjoy playing. And overall, I think doing this just gives you a better understanding of the game. So let's see here. First off, let's get the elephant in the room out of the way. I'm sure if you've seen a tier list before, or even played the game and just seen this character everywhere, Matari. Matari is a beast of a character. She is definitely S tier in my opinion. And the reason for that is, in this game it seems like movement is just king. Her F ability, if you take her second skill in it, it lets you do a double dash. You basically get 2 charges of a blink. And you can use this to escape, confuse your opponents, while you're in battle if they've got the jump on you. If you played a few games, you probably know dodging, trying to turn and run away is usually just going to end in death for you. You're going to get staggered. But dodging out and then blinking, they have no idea which direction you blink at first. You could blink away, behind them, you can blink straight up in the air. And that lets you get your grapple off and your movement combos. There is a proper way to move in the game. Maybe we'll do a video on that in the future. But right now, I'm just going to focus on this tier list. And her ultimate also cannot be ignored. She goes invisible, which when you first see it, you can see her outline. And you think, man, that's not that bad, right? She's invisible. It's like a predator thing. I can still see her outline. I can probably keep track of her most of the time. But the ultimate combined with a double blink, you are going to lose her. She's going to get away. She's going to heal. She's going to confuse you. She's going to stab you in the back. She's going to pop in and out. You're not going to know where she's at. She's going to charge attack you, which, by the way, you glow blue in this game when you charge attack. Well, when she's invisible, you cannot see that. There's no visual cue that she's charge attacking. It makes it really, really hard to parry her or know what kind of attack she's doing whatsoever. It leaves you in a situation where you're just swinging for the fences and hoping a lot of the time. And for those reasons, I believe Matari is S tier. Moving on to the next character, we have Tienon. I call him Tien. If I say Tien in this video, just know that's who I'm talking about. Now, I contemplated with this character for a while. I really want to put him in S tier. I believe that a good Tienon can destroy everybody. The ultimate, especially, it just seems like you just can't fight him. A lot of people think it's busted. I don't disagree with you, but I think I'm going to throw Tienon in A tier. So his F ability, I like to take the second version. It allows you to disarm them if they blue attack you. It's just kind of a easier parry to hit. If you see something coming, or sometimes, you know, if you accidentally parry too early, or you're panicking and the last moment, it seems like it's a little easier to get the F ability off than it is to parry. I think there's some more frames there. I might be mistaken, but that's just how it feels. His ultimate, you know, we talked about it before. A lot of people think it's busted. It is a get out of jail free card, basically. You grow into this giant monster. I forget what they call it in game. You know, it's got 4 arms. It grabs you. It CCs you. He slams you on the ground for a ton of damage. Or he punches you, depending on which version you take. And especially in solos, 1v1, they're going to have a super hard time fighting you. I mean, it is rough. They're going to probably run from you the majority of the time, which is fine, really, because when you pop this ultimate, let's say you have 10% life left. When you pop it, you get full life back. And you don't get your shield back, but you get really tanky. You know, they just can't contest with you. If they run away, you can end your ultimate early if you want. You still keep your full life. You heal up. You either re-engage or you get out of dodge. And if they choose to fight you, you can defeat this this ultimate. I've seen it done. I've done it. But more often than not, he's going to grab you and just you're going to have a bad day. What's keeping him out of S tier? I just think Matari, for now, might need slightly tweaking. I don't want to get on the nerf bandwagon. I don't think it's that bad. But I think she's got a few little advantages that nobody else can really make up for. And for that reason, I just want to keep her in S tier alone. Just know that I really think Tien probably should be S tier as well. Maybe if she was toned down just a little bit, they would both be right there. Next, let's talk about one of the more popular characters in the game, and for good reasons. She is a little bit edgy, a little bit awesome, and she is a lot of good. We're going to be talking about Yoto. And what separates Yoto from the pack is that she has a lot of combos that aren't accessible to the rest of the roster. Her F ability, there are different versions of it, but basically you throw out a Sidewinder blade, you know, it's spinning around, and if you hit F again, you can teleport to it. You get a little slash, and then you can continue doing whatever you're doing. This can be used to get you out of trouble. You know, if you hit somebody with it, they're in hit stun for just a little bit. It's enough time to allow you to get away sometimes or to reposition for a better fight. But man, when you hit an uppercut, you have the ability to extend your combos in a way that no one else can. You can take any weapon and extend the damage. It's basically, there's a lot of combos out there. You can find videos on YouTube. But the general idea is take whatever combo you're doing, uppercut, hit F twice, and then just continue your combo. You're going to add a lot of damage to it. A lot of times you think, man, my combo, it almost kills if they have blue armor or purple armor. It's just, if I could just finish them off somehow, Yoto allows you to do that. She takes off that little extra percent of life, and she's just a killer. Plain and simple. Next up, we're going to be talking about the poster girl of the game, and that is Viper Ning. Now, Viper Ning is C tier. I'm just joking, boys. Viper Ning is a powerhouse. She is definitely A tier, 100%. She is as solid can be. Her F ability, there's basically all the variants are pretty good. They have different uses depending on your playstyle. I prefer the second one. It silences the enemy. Now, they still can grapple hook out, but they can't use their abilities. And the big ticker here is that if you're fighting a Matari and you get your silence F off on them, they cannot go invisible. They cannot blink. They are on a level playing field with the rest of the cast at that point. You are fighting an actual character instead of a god. Other than that, her ultimates, oh my goodness, her ultimates. They're just devastating. The first version of her ultimate, it basically tethers your opponent. Or ever how many opponents are around, it tethers everybody. And if they don't get out of it, they are stunned. The first one is a 5-second stun. And I'm telling you, if you get this off on somebody, they're a sitting duck. You just fully charge whatever weapon you've got and you unleash them. If she gets off this stun, more than likely she's going to kill her opponent. The second version of the ultimate silences. This is the one I like. The stun instead of 5 seconds is actually for 2. But during that time, they can't grapple hook or use any abilities. They basically have to sprint away to get out of it. Just makes it much, much harder to get out of. But the stun is shortened, so you don't have quite as much time to finish off your opponent. Like, you probably can't fully charge an ability, but it does let you get in some extra damage, get the advantage, and press forward. The last version, throw your ability up in the air. They can't use their abilities and such, but it allows you to fight during it. The previous versions of the ultimate, while you're channeling it, you cannot attack or do anything. This version, it lets you free move, free fight. But the downside is there is no stun at the end of it. I've noticed more times than not, you throw it up in the air, people just run from you anyway. I think it sounds a little better in theory than it plays out. But if you want to be more defensive, you can certainly throw it up in the air. If you're low health, they're probably still going to run, and you just heal up. I think the longer the game is out and the more people play, they'll realize kind of which ultimate version you're using, and they might choose not to run if they're beating you. So at the lower levels, it's definitely great for a defensive option. But offensive and securing the kill, I just think the other two ultimates are better. And with 3 characters left, only one of them is going to make it with the rest of their group in A tier. I don't want to hurt any feelings here, but the last person I'm going to throw in A is Tarka. Now, Tarka is quite an interesting character, right? He is very high skill cap, I think. His F ability, you can use the counter. I don't think that's bad. It's not as popular as the fireball, and I do think the fireball is better, I will say. But I don't think the counter is bad. If that's your play style, I'm sure there's some great outplay potential there. It's just that the fireball is pretty easy to hit. It's comboable into. It burns their health. If you haven't got through all their armor yet, you can go ahead and be working on their health. And once you break through that armor, it could be a very easy kill. His ultimate, he basically covers himself in flames. He gets insane move speed. He can sprint around like crazy. His dashes are empowered. He can really get away or chase with ease. Or if you just need to, cover distance on the map, he's really good at that if you want to get in a certain position when you see where the circle's going, or if a ultimate chest drops somewhere, he's the man to beat to it. And let's not overlook that some people call it an infinite. It's really not an infinite, but with the increased move speed and increased dash power, there is a uppercut combo he has. Now, I don't main him. I really can't do it myself. But if I played the character, I would definitely learn it. I try to showcase it off a little here, but I only get 4 hits. It's basically you can get a 5-hit katana hit, uppercut, and then do a charge attack. It's very good. I mean, it's probably unmatched in damage. You're just going to roll somebody with it. You do need a lot of stamina runes to do this and upgrade it. Because it does take stamina every time you juke around with him. And the more stamina you have, the more hits you can get. So if you're practicing it and you can only get 3 hits and you run completely out of stamina, your talents are why. You need to hit that level to get all the talent glyphs and upgrade them all. And he's definitely a high skill cap character. It is an advanced combo. I messed around with it for maybe 10-20 minutes. I ended up getting this poor attempt at 4, but I'm pretty confident that myself and whoever else could learn it. It's really not that bad. Next up, we're going to hope I'm saying this correctly. If I'm not, don't shoot me. But we're going to throw Tumulch in B tier. Tumulch's F ability basically deflects projectiles to let you close distance. And if you throw it at somebody, it basically puts them in a whirlwind. It's a CC state that lets you basically get a free hit or continue a combo. You can combo into it. It's a little awkward. The main thing I don't like about Tumulch, and it's why he's in B tier, for solos at least, but I don't like it overall in general, is that when you first pop his F ability, you shoot straight up in the air. And I would rather just be able to throw the ability out. You have to hit F twice, basically. There's a preparation stage, and then there is a go stage. And the rest of the cast, they don't really have the problems with this. Like Tarka, we just talked about Tarka the Fireball. I'm sure you've seen him or played him. You just chuck it out there. If Tumulch did that, I think he'd be much better, much more solid character. He's not bad. And it does have its use where if somebody's shooting at you, you can pop that thing, go toward them, close the distance. If they hit you, it doesn't matter. And you can really get in melee range against them quite easily. His ultimate is really good for closing out kills and running. It's basically he traps you in the middle of the sandstorm with him. And you're forced to fight him. He can leave it, you can't. If you try to leave it or if you get knocked into the edges, you're going to be in a state where you can't do anything except walk really slow. He's just going to finish you off like you're nothing. The ultimate, I think, is even better in 3s, but we'll get into that in just a little bit. And last but not least, we have Kurumi. If there was a waifu tier, boys, I would S, number 1 S. She would be right there. She's my favorite character. I don't think she's bad by any means, so don't chastise me. This is my main character. I'm going to put Kurumi in B tier. Now, whether she's better or not than Tumulch, I'm not going to say. I'm not going to get into that argument. But I do believe this is a B tier character when compared to the rest of the cast in solos. Underline solos. When we get into the threes tier list, you're going to be much happier with her placement. I promise. I just don't want to put a false tier list out there for you guys. You know, the character I play. I've seen people place her much lower. Like, they'll put all these characters on the list and then they'll throw her down here or here. You know, I'm putting her at B. She's a good character. The thing about her is that I think you need to learn the slide heal trick. You can do it with the ultimate as well. You know, there's grapple versions of the ultimate. You know, I'll showcase those a little bit here in the background. But I think you really need to harness the ability to do this in solos. Because she's a more defensive character while the rest of the cast is pretty darn offensive. She is there to heal herself and teammates, which you do not have in solos. She loses half or 2/3 of the effectiveness of her kit. You know, all those stats just going out the window because we're in solos. And so it's not that she's bad that she's down here, but you can't use her to her highest potential, so she is in B tier for me. Slide heal trick, you know, it gets you out of dodge just a little bit, but it's more like a second chance. There's no confusion with it. There's no real getaway and re-engage. If you don't know the slide heal, you're probably just going to get stomped if the fight's not going your way. But when you know the slide heals, do it. It lets you heal for free, and you get your second chance. The disadvantage is obviously you're still fighting. They're still tracking you. You're still on the defensive while they're on the offensive. It's just a second chance at life. If they're just mopping you, it's almost just a reset to the fight. You know, if you've almost got them killed and then you get to do that to yourself, you're going to be in a better position. But it just doesn't have that I'm turning the tides of the fight feel. It's mainly because it just doesn't get you in that aggressive position like a lot of the other characters' ultimates can. She has the defensive option, which isn't as great as the others because you can't get away, but she doesn't have that aggression with it. And that's why I think she is in B tier. And that is going to be it for our solo character tier list for Naraka Bladepoint. Let's go ahead, reset this baby, and let's get into the threes. So the threes game mode is a lot of fun. It really feels like that's how the game's meant to be played in some ways. You know, I play mainly solo because I don't have a lot of friends that play this game. I'm hoping to convert a few. But the game really falls into a great place in threes. You know, before you had Matari, just S tier alone. And although she is great in threes, the team comp synergy of different characters and everything, everybody just feels way more balanced. And that's a great thing. You can really tell they put a lot of thought into this. And we're going to try to not talk as much about threes. We're going to make this a little shorter because I've already went over basically, you know, what all the characters do and their abilities and everything. So this is going to be more of like a general list here real quick. So first off, S tier. I really do think there is an S tier in threes. And I think Tianon, I put him in A before. I don't think it can be ignored in threes. I think Tianhan is S tier. His ultimate is super powerful. And now you think, yes, there's three people, they can just focus down the ultimate. That's good in theory, but it doesn't always work that way. You've got two other people. That's the main thing about the balance here. You got two other people attacking you if you're just trying to focus him. You know, they're hitting you in the back. If you don't focus him, they're fighting, you know, two other 1v1s, and you just get to freely grab people. It's just an amazing ability combined with everything else we talked about before. He's just really great at securing kills, whether it be for himself or his team. Now, next, this is going to be the highlight of the tier list for me. This just makes me so happy. I'm putting Kurumi in S tier for threes. This is my favorite character, is my main. I did want to undersell her in solos. I know it might have seemed that way. But my goodness, is she good in threes. Her ability to heal herself and her team this time, while being able to teleport around to them, it's just unmatched. You know, she doesn't even have the ability to really teleport effectively in solos. All three variants of her ultimate are team focused. It really comes down to what you think is best. I really like the restore health and shield. The original one's not bad. Yeah, I haven't played around a ton with the third or the second version. She's just a powerhouse, boys. I'm telling you. You can't go wrong with Kurumi. Just rejoice if that's your main character. And that's going to be it for S tier, guys, as we move on to Yoto. Yoto, A tier, definitely. She's very good. As I said before, she's just a killer. She combos her opponents to death, and in the confusion, it's much easier to hit a sneaky combo or a cheeky uppercut. And at the end of the day, the game is about eliminating your opponent, and that is what she does. And she does it very well. Definitely A tier. After Yodo, we're going to also put Viper here. I talked about it in the solo list, but the silence is just insane, and that is amplified in threes. Most of the time, you're going to be fighting 3v3s or 3v2s. There's a lot more value in an ultimate that crowd controls, silences, you know, the long stun. There's a lot more value in that when it's hitting three people instead of one. It basically guarantees you to win the fight or at least kill one or two of them. And it's a lot easier to get off without taking any damage in threes because there's just so much more confusion in threes. That's a big deal that you can't just overlook. The more people there are, the harder the fight is going to be in one way or another, and the more your brain is going to race and get lost. And she's going to have an easier time hitting those ultimates on people while they're getting hit by your teammates or your teammate is kind of juking around them. She's just going to get that off a lot more. So definitely A tier. Viper's super strong. Next, we're going to look at Matari, the god of solos. We're going to take down a peg, but not too much. I don't think it's going to hurt her ego all that much at all. She's going to be in a solid A tier. Very, very good still. She is a greedy character, and by greedy, I mean she kind of just looks out for herself. She does have the third version of her ultimate. If you choose to take it, it shrouds the whole team instead of just herself. It can allow for a slippery retreat or a deadly surprise. Atari, she's an assassin through and through. And at the end of the day, she is greedy, but she does her job and she does it well. She's still hard to kill. She creates more confusion in a game mode where confusion is already amped up from solos. Just solid character. Can't go wrong. If this is your main, great. One of the best characters in both game modes. You chose wisely. Down to 2 people left. Let's go ahead and grab Tarka. Tarka, we're going to still throw an A tier here. Again, it's mainly in threes. It's because of his ultimate. Kind of like Matari, he can use his ultimate to get away or get to his team. Like, he can run away and heal, or he can make it to that ally that's in a bad spot and give aid a lot quicker than most of the cast. The third version of his ultimate, I don't know if we went over this before, but the third version makes it where he can't grapple you. And that is a very strong ability. If enemies tunnel vision on him, he can basically lead them on a wild goose chase away from the rest of your team, letting them regroup, heal, whatever. He just adds a whole lot to the team. I will say that if you know that uppercut combo, man, you're going to hit somebody in the back with it fighting your buddy, and you are going to absolutely destroy them. He is a fantastic character. And last but not least, let's go ahead and talk about Tumulch. You might be thinking I'm going to throw Tumulch in B tier. I didn't say a lot of super positive last time about him, but in teams I'm actually going to put him in A tier. And the reason Tumulch is going in A tier is because of his ult. If it's placed properly, it can zone out enemies, which is much more valuable, just like I was talking about with Viper, when we're working with more numbers. So it's getting triple the value sometimes. You can cut off somebody from their team. Your team can come in the circle. You all can eliminate him. And now it's a 3v2. They can't do anything about that. If one of your teammates goes down or needs to retreat, you can kind of throw it down in an angle to where they can't get to the body while you res it. Or they can't get to that person. He can just heal in the circle real quick. Just a really good ability. It gets really amped up in threes. And I still have that problem with him about his F ability. But you know what? The ultimate is so much better that he is going to stay in A tier. Guys, that pretty much wraps up my solo and threes tier list for Naraka Bladepoint. I'm sure you noticed, there's only 2 tiers here, S and A, and that might seem a little weird to you guys, but I really think the game's just well balanced around threes, and no one is really that bad. I think a couple just stand out above the crowd here, maybe these two. These two plus any of the A's are going to be amazing, or one of these and any 2 of the A's are going to be amazing. I do kind of feel like you should pick one or the other here. Maybe Kurumi, but I'm a little biased. But I really don't think you can go wrong in threes. It's a lot more communication based, and I think your success or failure is going to focus a lot more around that as opposed to the characters. I hope you guys really enjoyed this tier list. I'll try to be making some more videos in the future if this does okay. We might do some movement tutorials and some combo tutorials. If you guys have any ideas or things you really want to see or explained better than anything else you've seen on YouTube, just let me know. I'll do my best to deliver that to you. There is not a lot of information out there about this game for how big it is. It really blew up. There are some videos, and there are some good videos, but there are also some videos and articles that I really disagree with. And I'm not saying you should listen to me over the other people, kind of whoever you trust more, but I will give you my take on it and try to show you the best of my ability, the content that you want to see. I do normally stream live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Jandal. But I haven't been live a lot lately. If that's something you guys want me to get back into, just let me know. I might hop live every now and then. Feel free to give the stream a follow. And if you guys enjoy seeing me play the game, we'll do a whole lot more of that. I appreciate you guys, and make that 12 subs now. See you boys. Peace.